was like, since you made Toolsidas Junior, what what was it that made you decide that, okay, I'll make a movie that is inspired from my own life?
Uh, See, it was I've I spent all my time studying CA and MBA. So I didn't in my formative years I didn't have time to read books.
Mm.
Um, I did watch a lot of Hindi movies,
Mm.
and I owe it to my father because he used to take me for these these single theaters,
Mm-hmm.
and later the legacy was carried on by my brother. He used to take me for movies. So that way I was blessed, but I was always so because I had not read much and watched much. um, I looked inwards for inspiration. I looked at my own experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and so the first movie, actually, I'll go back to my first
Mm.
movie, Missed Call, was also based on my life's experiences.
Mm.
Mm, but of course, uh, it's very interesting when you look at your own life with the license of doing anything to it while you're thinking of your life. What if, when you use the keyword what if,
Mm.
and you tweak your life experiences, it suddenly becomes cinematic. Uh, and it's very easy to fool yourself कि मैं ऐसे कर रहा था और फिर मैंने ये कर दिया वहाँ पे.
Mm.
I mean, we see, even as children, when parents asked you something कि ये क्या हुआ स्कूल में, you do that, masala and over exaggeration is cinema, is storytelling.
So, my question was like how, like Miss Call and also Tulsidas Junior, how, like how do you maintain the realism in the story? Like how accurately were you able to showcase?
See, the base is always real. The
Mm.
character, like in Tulsidas Junior, uh, that is me, that is my brother. The relationship is exactly the way it is. The coach, Salam Bhai, the rapport I had with him is exactly the same. The relationship between me and my father, I was always following him, and so all that is true. The base is set.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it's incidents. So there are two things that happen. One is within one incident, which actually turns out to be a scene or a sequence. Uh, you keep the ethos the same,
Mm-hmm.
but then you tweak it, you exaggerate it somewhere, you add. I mean, of course, the dialogues become. I mean, I won't remember exactly what was said 25 years back. So then that license, that you have that license to tweak certain things and make it. The idea is to make the viewer fall in love with your story, and you do anything for that, even if you have to. I won't call it a lie, but there's a very thin line between a lie and fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fiction. We have the license of calling it fiction.
Mm.
So you fictionalize certain scenes and timelines. Like Tulsidas Junior, I like I have played with the timelines. So if a certain scene happened when I was 18 years old, but it suits the timeline of my story, I will just incorporate it here. So it's not you can't be straight jacketed thinking ki no, this happened, then after this happened, then it'll get boring.
Mm.
So in storytelling, it is very important that experiences. If you're playing with experiences, your own life experiences, which are gems.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm fortunate to live a very interesting life, but everyone's life is interesting.
Mm.
Everyone's life is interesting. People around them, you hear other friends' experiences. There's a lot to borrow from.
And when you put the added like element of music and other things that go into
It just
film,
gets enhanced.
yes,
It just
exactly.
becomes beautiful.
Mm.
And then it becomes an alternate reality. When I actually when I watch my own film, when I watch Tulsidas Junior or Missed Call, I'm not like, "Arey, ye hua tha." It's become an alternate reality. Now this is what it is. What I experienced is now all. Now this is the memory that I live with forever, and I share it with everyone. Everybody is watching my alternate, slightly fictionalized and with very strong messaging and a lot of values and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of fun, and you've just put all the ingredients, added humor to it, and So, like even Salam Bhai. So those names that I gave to the ball, the few names were there in that YMCA Wellington club, but then the rest of it I added. Those were the fictional parts, that calling it jaundice and chocolate and and tota and pinky, billu, kalia. All that is adding. Then you do the flourish and the embellishments of dialogue, so that you make it you immortalize it with certain dialogues. So all these little elements added together, that's what cinema is.
You have written for films, and us as filmmakers, we have an idea, but we don't know how to put it on paper. So how do you go about putting your idea onto paper? How do you start writing?
See, when I made the switch to filmmaking, first I tried to be an actor, and I did pretty well. But then I was doing well in theater, in front of an audience. But the moment the camera was on, I used to freeze. So I immediately switched. I said, no, I want to be a director. I think that's what I'm made for. But then I realized, to be a director, let me first try and be a writer. I was petrified of writing. There were so many times I was fascinated to buy a stationery, buy a new diary, would start writing today, buy a new pen, like fancy pen. But to pick up that pen and write even 2 lines, I used to be like, kya likhu main yaar? Then I still remember, then we used to travel more by train. Train was a beautiful place to, pen down things.
Yeah.
Even though it was shaking, but it was, his mind was stimulated. There was some stimulus happening. So I remember I wrote my first scene in a train, and I just wrote a scene which was again based on my experience. I just wrote the scene. I didn't know how to write a scene. I just wrote it down, and I enjoyed it. Of course, 2 days later when I read it, I thought, I've written crap. But then I had written something that opened up things for me. Then I started writing more. I started writing, okay, I have a thought. What if this happened? What if we went to a wedding, we crashed into a wedding, and we were caught? So any random thought. And I, started writing. Whatever thoughts came, I wrote it down. Of course, then pen and paper was there. Now I do use notes. I take out my phone. Now it's become so convenient. Phone nikalta hu notes mein. If I give you my phone, you'll be shocked at the number of notes I have. It goes into thousands. Every time I have a thought, I write a note. If I have a dialogue, I write it. I don't know where that dialogue will fit. I don't know where that scene will fit. But what is most important, coming back to the question you asked, that how do I write my ideas? The idea is to just write. Gulzar Saab said something very beautiful. He said that, every morning he has the discipline of sitting on his writing table for a couple of hours, and he writes. And even though he's writing rubbish, but he writes every day. Because, thought एक ऐसा चीज होता है ना, like, again, this is it's not my this thing, it's something he said. Thought is something, once he was going to play tennis and a thought came, and he's telling the thought, why have you come now? I'm playing tennis. So the thought goes away. Correct. Now you're sitting in that discipline. Now that thought I'm going to write now. The thought will not come to you. Thoughts are also very devious. You're like, I came to you then, but you were more interested in playing tennis. Now wait, I will come to you. You wait. So that is where discipline comes in. You sit on the table, write something. Thought is not coming, no problem. Write something. Next day again write. Third day the thought will come. It will come in the same form that it had come, and you will write it down. So writing is a lot about discipline. See, of course, there is structures involved, and there is Sid Field, and there is a lot of theory involved. They help. I've read all those books. And Michael Haig, there's a structure of storytelling where he divides screen time of 100% into 10% of setup, 10% of new situation, first plot point. All those things are important. There are various theories, and you don't know which theory will suit, because cinema is so dynamic. There's no, so you can't कोई स्ट्रक्चर में तुम नहीं बैठा सकते कि ये फिल्म ऐसी ही लिखी जाएगी. It can be anything. Your cinema is that way is beautiful. I mean, today you can write a story where the plot point happens in 5 minutes, and nobody cares. I mean, the viewer should enjoy your story and your storytelling. So I think the discipline of writing is very important, and you evolve while you write. First day of writing, second day of writing, you have to sit there and just pen something down. Let it be rubbish. It'll come out of that. Quality comes out of quantity in writing.